beautiful. It wasn't that awful. I didn't watch the war part, and I liked it. It was fine. But that's it. I don't watch other movies. I just don't. I choose not to watch that sort of thing, and I haven't frankly missed TV at all.
Yeah, and the world is conspiring against us, though, because the world as it is right now, our society as it is right now, is using that train wreck, and you can't help but look at the train wreck. So they're using the train wreck to get to sell whatever their product is, whatever they're
Right.
trying to give to us, and so they keep bringing us train wrecks, and we're compelled to listen to them, to watch them, and what we need to do is we need to take as many of the train wrecks as we can out of our lives. We can't eliminate them all. Our lives are still going to have them in, but we can take them out. And as you say, for instance, the movies that we watch. The movies that are being produced now for children are terrible, and I say
Yeah.
they're being produced for children. They are geared towards that younger generation, and they are terrible. They're full of horror and awful, catastrophic events, and there is so much of it that's a train wreck to get the children into the movie theaters, that now what they're doing is they're teaching children today, and I mean children all the way up to the age of 25. Children today, children today are living in a dream world. We acknowledge the fact that they are not living in a reality. Their reality is a false reality. They don't really know what the real reality is, and this is not something I'm making up off the top of my head. This is something that is a realization that social scientists are coming to, that children are living in a false reality, a reality that is given to them by the media, by the society, and that they have not learned what the real reality is. The real reality escapes them entirely. And as a result of that, they live in this reality of the social media, for instance. And when they live in that reality, then they are jostled around by it. They're depressed, they're lonely, they're suicidal. And it's a result of the fact that they're being taught a false reality, and they need to just come down to the real reality. And in some way, we need to help them to do that. And the schools are failing them. The schools are not helping them to do that. The Sunday schools or the churches are not helping them to do that. Parents are not, because they don't know what to do. And so what we need to do is we need to help them to realize what reality is, what the truth is about life. And when they do that, when they start to look inward and calm themselves and come to that, then they will become changed people. That's hard for us to imagine now. But children can become changed people. And all we need to do is to help them to look inside, to understand that they are children of God. There is nothing but God, and to realize that they have a whole world to look forward to live in love, peace, and joy, more joy than they can ever imagine having. But we have to bring them to that point of having that, rather than bringing them train wrecks.
So what can you do for entertainment? Well, what I do is classics. For children, there are wonderful classic Disney movies. For you, there's Downton Abbey. There are some beautiful old movies that they're beautiful. Most of them are costume classics, and those, if I feel like watching a movie, you can do. But frankly, I usually have too much else to do that's writing and my own work, which is what I do instead in the evenings. So there's plenty to do that you can enjoy and love doing. But probably nothing, no movie made after about
1985.
At least,
90,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, everything beautiful, everything happy and uplifting. That's sort of my rule. So that's the first rule. Everything spiritually joyous. The second rule is to peacefully eliminate from your life all of the daily situations that cause you friction and stress. Change jobs if you have to, and Maybe move to another neighborhood, change friends. If you know drained people, and when I say drained people, you know what I mean, people whose personal issues have made your life more difficult, may need to, if, if they're not a relative or somebody that you have a real responsibility for, you may need to, change them, remove them from your life. I'm sorry, but your spiritual growth is more important than staying in a neighborhood where you have stresses that are causing you damage to your life. You just have to try to make your life simpler. If you're in a job that causes you stress and pain, you may need to change jobs. Making money is not the point of your life.
Yeah, and most people don't realize that an important part of spiritual growth is becoming happy. We should
Oh
become.
my goodness, yes.
That's what our lives are meant to be happy. They're meant to be full of joy. And so what we need to do is, instead of feeling, there is in Nietzsche in Thus Spake Zarathustra. Nietzsche describes the person as they evolve from being a child. And when they're a child, then they are a camel, he said. And the camel has burdens and carries burdens and is told what to do and just does them without thinking about it. But then as the child grows, that they should do is they should turn into a lion. And what the lion does is to slay the dragon of thou shalt. And it's the dragon of thou shalt has thou shalts all over its every scale has thou shalt on it. And the lion then slays the dragon of thou shalt. And after that, then the person becomes like a little child and becomes open and understanding and receiving of things in the world around them. But we have to come to the point at which we throw off the thou shalts, the feeling like I've got to stay in this job to make money because I've got to make money so I can pay off the mortgage, and all of those thou shalts that we have in our lives. And once we eliminate those and say, no, I can be happy with something less. I don't have to have that big mortgage in a house. I can be happy in other circumstances. And we eliminate the thou shalts, then we can sink back into a feeling of happiness and joy with what we've got. And we can do that. Every one of us can do it. We can just eliminate those feelings that we must have certain things, we must do certain things, and allow the truth to come to us. We are meant to live lives full of love, peace, and joy. That is a gift. It's part of our birthright. And all we need to do is claim it.
Perfectly said. I cannot improve on that. But anything that is draining the joy from your life, you have got to eliminate it, even if it's difficult. If it's a relative, maybe you see them only at Easter. I don't know how else to put it, but that's the way it is. Third rule, begin a more deliberately peaceful set of spiritual practices. I have a book coming out in the fall, which is called The Joy of Loving Jesus, embracing the Christianity that Jesus taught. I don't know how to put it more plainly than this, but you cannot find the Christianity that Jesus taught in any of the 42-odd thousand versions of Christianity that now exist. They all are fear-based. The Christianity that Jesus taught is love-based. We have to invent it ourselves, and we are going to do that now. It pains me to say it. They're all fear-based.
That's true. The second coming of Jesus is going to be his being understood for the first time. So what's happened is the early church, because it was more administrative and bureaucratic than it was focused upon people and people's growth, the early church took over spirituality and told people what they must do, and they involved themselves in it. So what you must do, they said to the people, you must do what we tell you to do, and you must give us what we want you to give us. And from that point then, all of the churches that grew out of that early Christian evolution have since stayed in that kind of a mired position in which they are focused upon the rules, they're focused upon what the church gets out of it, and they're not allowing people to go inside to do what Jesus told them to do. All of the teachings of Jesus have been cloaked, and what we need to do now is to uncloak them, to allow them to come out to people. And those teachings of Jesus are what allow us to come to the position of feeling love, peace, and joy in our lives, if people just learn that.
Many people, unfortunately, believe that they can find spirituality in Christianity. I was a Christian for more than 50 years, and I tried very hard to be a Christian. Unfortunately, they don't even teach the teachings of Jesus inside Christian churches. I know so many Christian clergymen who have had to leave Christianity in order to begin to teach the teachings of Jesus. It's very, very painful to have to even deal with it. But I mean, my poor husband, who was a Catholic, I went to mass with him on Sundays for years, and finally I couldn't do it anymore because over the altar was a life-sized, full-color plastered Jesus bleeding on a cross. How can you consider that to be spiritual on any level? And finally, now we are going to start loving Jesus as he deserves to be loved and listening to him as he deserves to be listened to. And so that book will be out in the fall. I've been promising it for years, and I know I have, and I'm sorry that it hasn't come out sooner, but it wasn't ready sooner. I mean, people used to ask poor President Lincoln, how long should a man's legs be? And he said, they're just long enough to reach the ground. And finally, this book is ready. It had to be long enough to reach the end, and it is soon going to be out now. But if you can find a way to be spiritual inside your church, I'm not telling you to leave your church, but I'm just telling you that it's very hard to become as spiritual as you need to be to truly make this your last earth lifetime inside any of the existing denominations of Christianity as they presently exist. But the teachings of Jesus, if you properly follow them, are more than enough for you to make this your last earth lifetime. And we're going to establish a Christian denomination based purely in the teachings of Jesus that will easily take you all of the way in one lifetime. And actually even take you that way in one lifetime, even if you're almost at the end of that lifetime. That's how good those teachings are if they're properly followed.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to be able to say that finally. I'm very excited about it now.
Yeah, it's true. And all the people need to do is to read the Gospels. And it's amazing to have to say that, but they don't have to go to a church. They don't have to go to a religion or to listen to a religion. All they need to do is read the Gospels.
Yes,
the teachings
as he said them, exactly right.
Clear. He was very clear. And of course, we only have a small part of what Jesus had actually taught.
Yes.
And it's because it made an impression upon the people. What he said, of course, he said many things during his period of his ministry. But what made an impression on people, what really stuck with people, became the oral tradition. People shared those stories. And so they would talk to their cousin or to someone else about what this man Jesus said. It's phenomenal what he said. He said all we need to do is love God and love other people. That's all the commandments there are. And this is amazing. And so they shared these things with each other orally. And then eventually, it wasn't until 30 or 40 years later, after Jesus had gone to his next destination in life, that they then started to write this stuff down. And in the Gospel of Mark was the earliest gospel, and the Q Gospel, which is lost to us today. But these Gospels then were the earliest Gospels, and they were primarily Gospels of sayings, of the things that he taught. The most important things that he taught are what the people remembered. That's what they carried on. And if we go back to the Gospels now and just look at those important things that they realized were important, and we make those a part of our lives, then we